Hi, hello, this is Kuber. Welcome to my channel. Great evening. If you are in Canada, then it's looking like pretty cold today. But otherwise, it's been a great time. I mean, and in Canadian immigration, it has never been better. Draws after draws for people in Canada, and I'm sure people outside Canada and waiting for federal skilled worker will not agree with that. But if you are in Canada, things have never been better as far as immigration is concerned. So welcome to today's video. We are going to talk about the new immigration pathways, which has just recently been announced on the 14th of April under the public policy. There are lots of confusion, lots of questions that have been coming up. So, okay, let's break it down. Let's understand what it is all about so that some of your confusions can be cleared. And when the date comes, and the date is 6th of May, when the date comes, you are ready, you are prepared so that you can get cracking with your application and hopefully score your home run. So let's take it from the top to understand what all is included and what all you should be aware of. First things first, this program runs from the 6th of May until the 5th of November or until the intake limit has been reached. There are 6 immigration pathways, 3 for non-French speakers and 3 for French speakers. Those 3 programs are basically similar to both the categories of people, but by and large, so let's break it down even further and say there are 3 main programs, and it goes basically equivalent for the French and the non-French speakers. The good thing with the French speakers is that the program does not have any intake limits. So you guys have until the 5th of November, all the time in the world to satisfy all the requirements, to satisfy all the criteria, and then submit your applications. But if you're not a French speaker, then obviously you need to catch this bus. So which are these categories? The first one is the health-related occupations, and I will go through some of them very quickly now for you so that you understand which ones. 20,000 slots there. The next one is the essential occupations. I know the terminology sometimes is not the best, but we will go through some of the occupation codes under this category as well. 30,000 applications for this category. And the most awaited category obviously is the international graduate stream, or international graduate students who have completed is the keyword, who have completed the eligible credential. And there are 40,000 slots for this category. And you know what, I actually ran a Facebook poll just yesterday just to ask people what their opinion was as to which category will close faster. And can you believe it, 90% of the people obviously gave this a vote to the international graduate stream, because everybody believes and thinks that international graduates this category will be completed first, or this intake would be reached first. So let's break it down and see what these categories are. The first one we're going to talk about is the I have it here, and this is your Canadian work experience in essential occupations category. Now, as far as the links are concerned, they're all in the description box below, so you don't have to worry about the links. You can always scroll down to the YouTube description box and you will find the link for all these programs. This is the category. This is basically clubbed. 2 categories have been clubbed into this one. And this one talks about the people, or rather, this is for people who have essential work experience in Canada. So if you have the work experience in Canada and you're under this stream, you're basically looking at. So we're going to do with a broad overview of the criteria. Then we will go to some of the key points of the eligibility criteria, and then I will give you a broad overview of what to expect when the 6th of May comes through. Obviously, we do expect to hear from IRCC in the next week or so as to what the exact criteria or the process is going to look like. But you know, it's a free world and it's a democracy. We all have an opinion and we can think about what it will look like. So first things first, this is for people who have accumulated work experience. So basically, you already have completed at least 1 year of work experience. 1 year of work experience is 12 months of work experience, having completed 1,560 hours or equivalent in part-time work experience. And this work experience should be in occupations that have been listed in Annex A or Annex B. I will go through the Annex A and Annex B in a bit. Annex A is basically your health-related occupations, and Annex B is your other essential occupations. So you primarily need to have at least 1 year of work experience in either of these two categories to be eligible. You could have, and it says over here, the 1 year of work experience may have been acquired in one or more. So basically, even if you have not got a 1 year of work experience in the same NOC, even if you have received, or rather, even if you have accumulated work experience in two different NOC codes, and as long as both those NOC codes are included in the eligibility list, then you can claim that work experience as 1 year work experience. So that's a good one. As long as the work experience is listed, you're fine. Or as long as your NOC codes, eligible work experience NOC code is listed, you're fine. So same thing goes for stream A. I mean, they keep confusing us by saying stream, category, annex, but they both mean the same. So if you are applying in stream A, which is for the health workers, then you can have the work experience in more than one NOC, but both the NOCs have to be in the health worker stream. And if it's the essential occupation stream that your work experience is, and you have work experience in more than one, then both those or multiple NOCs, all the work experience has to be within that stream. So that is the essential aspect of this. Second essential aspect is that you should be employed in Canada at the time you make an application. So it's not that you had the work experience and okay, sorry, to go back a bit, this work experience should have been within the last 3 years. The complete work experience should be within the last 3 years. So if you are submitting your application on the 6th of May, then your work experience could not be earlier than, so what would it be, 2018? So your work experience could not have started earlier than 6th of May 2018. So that would then give you one complete year of work experience within the last 3 years. All right. The second criteria is that you are employed in Canada in any occupation. So you could have had work experience, which is the eligible one, in the past, and currently you could be working in a different occupation, different NOC code, different category. That's fine, as long as you are currently working. That is the criteria. So that's very important. You should be working, you should be employed in Canada in any occupation at the time of the application that your permanent residence is received. Okay, important one. The employment described cannot be self-employed. So basically, if you are in a contract job, so basically you are self-employed, you have set up your own company and you are working as a contractor, then unfortunately your work experience will not be considered as valid, because if you're a contractor, you're self-employed, you are not an employee, then your work experience will not be considered as eligible unless you are working as a medical doctor in a fee-for-service arrangement with health authority. In that condition, your work experience will be accepted. But for all other contractor jobs, if you are working as a contractor, you are considered as self-employed, then unfortunately that work experience will not be considered. Should have attained a proficiency of at least a benchmark of 4, which is CLB 4 in your English, in your IELTS. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, CLB 4 is amazing. I mean, I'm sure most of you would get it like this. The problem was that until this program was announced, a lot of you would not have taken your IELTS. And when this program was announced, suddenly everybody who realized that they could be eligible, they booked their IELTS, because this is one of the eligibility criterias. And unfortunately, a lot of you were unable to get any slots because, and I find that funny sometimes, is because they create these programs and do not think of other aspects of what's going to happen. So IELTS and CELPIP, both their websites crashed. People could not find a slot anywhere across Canada, and it has been a nightmare trying to find a slot. So if you already have taken your IELTS, then you are lucky. I hope you have CLB 4 and you will then be eligible. You should have a language test results which is valid. So basically, it should have been taken within the last 2 years. Then it's your valid, then it's your valid language test. If you have it, it's CLB4, then you will be eligible to apply. You should have the language test results on the day you submit your application. So that's the most important one. You should reside in Canada with a valid temporary resident status. Earlier, some people had asked if they were on refugee status or refugee claimant, can they apply? Unfortunately, on this one, they will not be able to claim, because this is residing in Canada with valid temporary resident status, or you should be eligible to restore your status. So basically, if you're out of status, but you're eligible to restore your status, then again, you will be eligible to apply. And you have to be physically present in Canada. This is bad for people who are currently not in Canada. They could have been eligible, but since they are outside Canada, they are stuck with this. Well, if you can still rush back, fly back to Canada, then you still might have a chance, because we still have about roughly 12 and 18 days to go, roughly little less than 3 weeks. So if you're outside Canada, but you're eligible in any of these programs, then you must rush back. You should be physically present in Canada at the time of making the application and at the time the application is approved. In both the circumstances, you should be in Canada. Extremely important to note that one. The next one is your intention to reside in a province or territory other than Quebec. If you are living in Quebec at this point of time, that is fine. If your work experience has been in Quebec, that is fine. What you need to be doing is you need to be intending. You have to be expressing your intention to reside outside Quebec. So when you submit your application, you will have to give supporting evidence that you do intend to reside outside Quebec. Again, that is extremely important. Do not worry if you are currently living in Quebec. If you're working in Quebec, that is not a problem. At the time of the application, your intention must be clear. You have to be residing outside Quebec, or you have to be expressing your intent and providing sufficient supporting evidence to show that you do intend to reside outside Quebec. Another important one. You have submitted an application for permanent residence using the forms provided by department. This is something which I will talk to you in a bit. And this application has to be made online, and certain exemptions given to people who may have a certain disability, and the foreign national is not inadmissible under the acts and regulations. So the chances are you are not, because you're already in Canada. In most cases, you will not be inadmissible as long as you are not in non-compliance of IRPA, which is Immigration Refugee Protection Act, or you haven't misrepresented, or any of the other serious inadmissibilities. So these are the main almost 8 or 9 requirements. As far as the last two are concerned, the last one I've explained about the forms. I will just get to that in the end once I've discussed the other stream as well. So these are mainly the criteria if you are eligible under the Canadian work experience class in this case. And the two annexes are, and so basically your family can be included, of course, and family here means your spouse, common law partner, or your dependent children. So whether they are in Canada, they definitely can be included. If they are outside Canada, they can still be included. The intake caps are again mentioned over here. Stream A is maximum 20,000 applications. Stream B is maximum 30,000 applications. The fee for this has not been declared at this point of time. I'm sure they will be clarifying that. It cannot be, or rather, I'm assuming it will not be more than what they charge for express entry application, which is $825. RPRF fee, right for permanent residence fee, which is $500, will also remain the same, of course. I'm expecting this fee for this application to vary between, I would say, between $500 to $825, anywhere between. But the exact fee that will be applicable here will be announced probably over the coming week or so. The start and the end dates, as you're already aware, it's from the 6th of May until the 5th of November, or until the stream intake has been reached, or until the minister decides, well, oh, this program is not eligible anymore. So, which I don't think. I think the stream intakes would be achieved much earlier than that. Now, Annex A, or the health-related occupations, these are the occupation codes. Again, you don't have to go with me with all these NOC codes right now. The description box will have the link. You can obviously go through that and check the NOC codes. But for the health related, they are primarily the nurses, the physicians, the doctors, the dentists, optometrists, chiropractors. But I'm sure you will realize the more important ones here are the dental assistants, the nursing aides, the psychologists, the social workers, and very importantly, the social and community service workers, and home support workers, housekeepers, and related occupations. So these are considered to be very, very important ones in case of, in terms of the knock codes, because you see 4412 is knock C. There is another one here, 3414, which is also knock C. There is 3413, which is also knock C, and 3411, dental assistants, which is also knock C. Now, all these occupations otherwise did not really have a realistic chance in express entry otherwise, or in most PNP programs. So here, it's an excellent opportunity for them to be able to submit their application, as long as they're eligible, as long as they have their IELTS score. The other essential occupations, the other eligible essential occupations that I'm going to talk to you about are these basically. And as I will scroll down these, you will realize again, these are those occupations which otherwise may have not had a chance. Okay, knock C and knock D, quite a lot of them. So off the bat, the first four are all knock Ds. Okay, 6611, 6621, 6622, 6623s, cashiers, service station attendants, store stock shelfers, other sales related occupations. Again, these occupations did not have any chance realistically in express entry. So there you go. I mean, they can now obviously submit their applications. There are lots of trade related occupations as well. These are usually what would be eligible under the FSTC, Federal Skilled Trade categories. But those, there has been no draw under that category for almost a year now. So if you're in Canada and you're eligible, then again, an excellent program for you guys as well. Again, as you can see, most of these are trade categories. Again, you've come to 744, 7442, 7444. These guys are again knock C. Then you have transport truck drivers. I'm sure we have a huge community of the truck drivers who otherwise had very limited option to be able to apply. But here you go, the truck drivers, the bus drivers, the taxi and limousine drivers, the chauffeurs, the delivery courier service drivers, all these category of workers otherwise had very little opportunity to apply for their permanent residence. But here you go, this is something which gives them an opportunity there. Then the construction laborers, harvesting laborers, again, this program has been very well thought about, right? I mean, they've given it a lot of thought. All these people who have been tirelessly working to support the Canadian economy in all sorts of manner. I mean, you cannot, sometimes in our lives, we just underestimate how much work is being put in by these category of workers, how much support they give to the economy. And in return, they have very little chance to sort of, convert their temporary status into permanent residence. So, kudos to the Canadian government for having done this, because this was something which was badly needed. So I'm absolutely glad that these occupations have been included, because otherwise these basically had no opportunity to have any realistic chance. So again, as I scroll down, you will see some more categories of workers who have also been included. Again, 6421, retail salespersons, very common category that I've seen. Cleaners, agricultural workers, fishing workers, machine operators. And then there are some other codes, and I'm surprised to see 0821 and 0822. Again, these are, when I'm saying why I'm surprised is because these are zero codes. I did not expect the management codes to be included, but I'm glad to see that they are also included. Again, teachers, French teachers and the French immersion, secondary teachers and the French immersion, elementary school teachers have also been included. The home childcare providers, again included. Elementary and secondary school teaching assistants, again, a knock code which is otherwise ignored, has been included. Retail butchers, ticketing agents, and customer service representatives also. Security guards, another very important category which is otherwise overlooked. So there you go. That is the list of all these categories of workers who were otherwise ignored. But thankfully now they have this brilliant opportunity to be able to submit their application. So let me stop this one. I'm back on your screen. Let me get you to the other category, and we're going to talk about that now. And this is your one that a lot of you are waiting for, is the temporary public policy to facilitate PR for applicants with a recent credential from a Canadian post-secondary institution. Okay, so this is what we're talking about now. Again, there is a bit of background information which you can go through. The conditions that are required under this particular stream, and for this, keep in mind, there are 40,000 slots. And for this, you have to complete your program. So if you are currently a student, you are still studying, then unfortunately you are not eligible, because this talks about people who have completed their study prior to the date on which they submit their application. So if at all you will complete your studies within the next 6 months, by the time or before the 5th of November, by the time the intake closes, and until that date, if at all, and I don't think that will be a possibility, but for whatever freak chance, if at all until that date, if the intake limit is not reached and you are able to complete your education before that date, then if you are also eligible under the other criteria, then you may be eligible to submit your application. But the likelihood of that happening, I don't see that happening, because this particular program stream is the most in demand right now, or rather the way it looks like, because this gives an opportunity to students who have completed their degree or diploma, a 2-year diploma mainly, within the last 4 years. It gives them an opportunity to submit their application without much other criteria. So let me go through the criteria so you understand what I'm talking about. You should have completed prior to the date on which the application for permanent residence is received, and which is no earlier than January 2017, which basically means that you should have completed your program at any of the DLIs, designated learning institutes. And by the DLIs, what the further description which has been given, these DLIs are the ones which are otherwise eligible to give you, or rather not to give you, but which are eligible for your issuance of postgraduate work permits. Okay, so if you have completed the program within the last 4 years, which is let's say January 2017 or later, if you have completed your program, then you will be eligible. You should have been granted one of the following credentials. Okay, so if you have a degree, any of the degrees, any degree, if you have completed a degree in Canada, which is associate degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, or a PhD, okay, then you are absolutely eligible to start. So off the bat, if you have a degree, it straight away basically means you're eligible. Obviously, the degree would have been for 8 months or longer in duration. I'm sure most of the degrees are longer than 8 months, but the minimum duration for this is 8 months. So if you have completed a degree, you're good to go. If you have completed a degree, diploma, certificate, or attestation of issued on a completion of program of any duration, okay, if that degree, diploma, or certificate is of any duration, but it leads to an occupation in skilled trade Annex A. So if you have completed a degree, diploma, certificate, or attestation of any duration, but it leads to the occupation in skilled trade as listed in Annex A, then again you are eligible. If you have completed, to go back to it, but if you have completed, let's say, 1-year diploma, then, but it does not lead to one of the skilled trade as listed in Annex A, then unfortunately you may not be eligible with 1-year diploma. But what you need is one or more diploma, certificate, attestations where the following conditions are met. For diploma, certificate, attestations, each program of study must have been at least 8 months in duration. Okay, so that is the criteria. You basically have to have, and the combined length of credential must be equivalent to 2 years credential. So what they're trying to tell you is that you could have a combination of one or more diplomas, certificate, or attestations, as long as each of those diplomas were of at least 8 months in duration, and the combined length of the credentials that you now have must be, it's a must. Okay, so it's not a or kind of a thing. It's must be equivalent to a 2-year credential, which basically rules out 1-year programs or 8 months program or diplomas or 12-month program diplomas, which do not lead to skilled occupation in Annex A. So unfortunately, this is where it clarifies and tells you that either your occupation, if it is less than 2 years in length, then it should lead to a skilled occupation. If it does not, then it has to be a program of at least 16 months. So 8 months and 8 months, which is basically 4 semesters. So it has to be 16 months or 2-year program or a diploma or a combination of that. And if you have completed that, then again, you become eligible. Then it talks about the DVS and the AVS, which are done in those programs. And again, the combined duration talks about, it should be 1,800 hours. Again, for greater clarity, each combined credential must meet the eligible program requirements as defined. So basically, if your diplomas are, so basically if you have 2 diplomas, if you have done one and second one after that, both those diplomas should have been completed no earlier than January 2017. So both your diplomas should have been completed in the month of January or after that, January of 2017, to be clear on that one. So you have been authorized to study throughout. So basically what it talks about is that you should have completed your studies while having a valid study permit throughout your education. The next very important criteria that it is talking about is that you should be employed in Canada with a valid work permit or authorization to work pursuant to the Act. Now, what does that mean? It means this, that you have completed your studies, you have completed your degree, and after having completed a degree, you have applied for your postgraduate work permit, and that you should be currently working. Whether you have your work permit or you don't have it, the condition is that you should have applied for it. The authorization to work pursuant to the Act is referring to the fact that you are allowed to work if you have applied for your postgraduate work permit. So if you have completed your studies, you have applied for your work permit, and you are currently working, you're absolutely fine. Then you're eligible to apply under this particular program. And again, it talks about the fact that your work experience should not be as self-employed individual. So if you are on a contractual work, then quickly leave that and find a job as an employee, get enrolled as an employee, start working as an employee, and then you will be fine here. You have attained a level of proficiency of language benchmark 5. CLB 5 is what you should have achieved. So you should have taken your IELTS general training, and it should not be more than 2 years old. And as long as you have at least CLB 5, then you are absolutely good to submit your application. You should be residing in Canada with a valid temporary resident status. So you should currently be on a valid status, or you should be eligible to restore your status. You should be currently in Canada, residing in Canada at the time of application and when your application is approved. Again, extremely important. Again, the same condition of intent to reside in a province other than Quebec. And the reason why this comes up again and again is because Quebec has their own separate immigration programs, and they are different from the federal immigration programs, and therefore this comes up. So your intention, right now, you may have completed your education in Quebec, that's fine. You may have got work experience in Quebec, that is fine, as long as you intend to reside outside Quebec. So you will need to provide additional supporting evidence and documents and explanation to say that you do intend to reside outside of Quebec. And again, you should submit your application using the forms, and it is an online application, and of course, you cannot be inadmissible. Conditions are the same. Otherwise, you can include your family being your spouse, common law partner, and dependent children. And the intake cap, as it says here, is 40,000 application. The applicable fee, as I just said earlier, has not been announced for this particular program, but I'm sure it will be. The date effective is 6th of May to 5th of November, and I'm repeating that again. And then the skilled trades over here, they are referring here to Annex A, which is listed below, which comes down. And then the Annex A are the eligible skilled trades. So if you have completed a diploma or a certificate, which is related to these occupations now on your screen, which are related to these skilled trades, which is contractors, supervisors in electrical, pipe fitting, carpentry, machining, bricklaying, maintenance, operations, railways. There's a long list here. Actually, a very, very long list. Okay, chefs, cooks, of course, the butchers, bakers. So if you have completed a 1-year program, all right, 8 months to 1-year program, which is directly related to these skilled trades which are listed here in Annex A, then you will be eligible to apply as well. So your 1-year program, if you have completed, which relates to these occupations, and I'm going through that again, occupation major group 72, occupation major group 73, 82, 992, 632, which is your chefs and cooks, 633 butchers and bakers, then you will be eligible, of course. But if your one-year program leads to a different program other than the NOC codes that are listed here, then unfortunately you may not. There you go. So those are primarily the program criteria. For the French speakers, you will obviously have the same program requirements, just that your language CLB4 and CLB5 respectively for these two streams would be in French. So what that also means is that, for example, for whatever reason, on the 6th of May, you miss this bus. For example, you are unable to complete, or you're unable to submit the application. The intake is completed. Well, a thought for you is that you now have nearly 6 months to prepare yourself and pick up the language, which is French. And if you learn French and score at least CLB4, if you are in one of the skilled trade occupations, or CLB5, if you are an international student, you know what? You can then also submit your application under the French-speaking stream. It's a bit difficult, I agree. I mean, taking up a new language all from the scratch, if it's not already if you do not already have any information in this language, but it's a doable thing. It's possible. And if you're already struggling with not being able to apply in any of the streams, then this is a great incentive or a good motivation for you to pick up the language. CLB4, you should be able to get there. 4 to 5 months, a bit of effort, a bit of hard work. What will happen come 6th of May? My opinion. Again, we are waiting for more information to come through. We are waiting for more details to come through, and that will probably flow through few days over the next week. We expect that the more details will come through. It has been made abundantly clear that it will be a program that will start on the 6th of May, that you have to submit, you have to be eligible to apply on the time when you submit your application. And it also talks about the forms. So in my understanding of how these things will play out is that on 6th of May, if at all they do something what Ontario has done before, that when they open the program, you're able to create your account and basically have a file number. And then you will have, let's say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks to submit the rest of your application forms and documents. That is one way of doing this, which I anticipate. And the second one probably would be that they open the program, or on the day the program opens, you have to submit all the applications and forms. The forms that, again, I expect would probably be IMM 0008, 5669, 5562, and probably another one with 5604. If I haven't got the wrong. I mean, if I haven't got the form number wrong. So what those forms are basically, IMM 0008 is your general immigration application. That form basically goes with most of the applications which are submitted to immigration. 5669 basically is your background application, background form, which contains information about your background checks and your personal history and your education history, etc. 5562 is more to do with your family members, and 5604 is more to do with your travel history. So these are more importantly the 4 forms which usually go into an application, and I'm expecting that these will be the forms that will be required, because this will be an online application. It is not express entry. It will not be something which express entry is similar to, but you never know. IRCC might just surprise us. As much as we're trying to speculate and trying to understand, so that we can stay one step ahead, prepare our application, prepare our forms, prepare all the information intact. The most important things that you will absolutely need when the stream opens, considering, again, depending on what kind of a process they follow. If they follow the process where they will allow you to create your file and then give you, let's say, a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to submit your remaining application, which is actually something which I would really want them to do, because that then gives you enough time to, with peace and calm and patience, submit your application. Because otherwise, in that haste, because none of us really know what kind of format they're going to apply. So in that haste, a lot of people are going to make a lot of mistakes. A lot of people won't understand what needs to be done. Right now with express entry, we are all very comfortable. You are comfortable. We are comfortable. We know exactly what needs to be done, what questions need to be answered. With this new format, there could be several mistakes being made, and those mistakes could be very, very costly, right? So I'm hoping, and that is what I would assume and anticipate a sensible immigration department would do, would be, is to allow you to create a file at least, so your basic information recorded, so your file number is created, now you have a file number. Once you have the file number, then you get, let's say, 2 weeks. This is what Ontario has done earlier in whenever they would ask you to submit your application. So you then have 2 weeks to submit the remaining documents in your application, and that gives you enough time and opportunity to submit your correct documents. If that happens, then that's fine. I don't expect them to require a police clearance off the bat in the beginning. I don't expect them to require your medicals right at the beginning. And the reason for that is because there isn't enough time. Okay. They have just given 3 weeks for 3.5 weeks before the start of this particular date. Already IELTS and CELPIP centers, or rather the website crashed. You literally do not have enough time to get your medicals and your police clearances done. So there is no way immigration is going to insist or ask you for these 2 documents on the day of your application submission. You definitely will be given time. And if you're not given time, then you can definitely submit your application with an explanation that you didn't have time, you need more time to provide these documents. So these are absolutely fine. So do not stress or worry about police clearance certificates or about your medicals. As far as the format is concerned, I've already discussed that with you. I've discussed with you the forms as well, because the eligibility criteria is very, very clear. On the date when you submit your application, you will need to comply with the eligibility criteria. So obviously you need to be in Canada. You need to be on an eligible work permit. So keep your copy of your work permit or the copy of the document that says that you have submitted your postgraduate work permit, you have submitted your postgraduate work permit application. Keep that document handy. Keep your study permit handy, or a copy of that, because that is to prove that you are studying in Canada on a valid study permit. So these 2 or rather 3 documents would be very, very important to. If you are applying under the essential worker stream, then the requirement is of your NOC code. The requirement is that this is a valid work experience. What is the criteria for valid work experience? You will need to provide documentation that shows that you have 1 year of work experience. Now, the 1 year of work experience is for 1,560 hours, or full-time work experience over 1 year, or equivalent part-time. So you will need to get a reference letter from your employer or employers, and that reference letter has to state your period of work, from which date to which date, from which one to which month, from which year to which year were you working. Very, very important. What were your duties and responsibilities? Extremely important. It has to match with the NOC code that you are choosing for your application, under which you are eligible, given under Annex A and Annex B for the respective stream. Okay. And it should mention that you are paid. So your salary, your benefits, if applicable, your working hours per week, because that will establish whether this was full-time or part-time work experience. In addition to that, you will need to provide your pay stubs. A lot of people say, why do we need to provide pay stubs if my letter says that I'm already working? Because your pay stubs, you see, in Canada especially, a lot of companies give you variable hours. So in some week you will be working 30 hours per week, some week you're working 40 hours per week, in some week you're working 20 hours a week, right? How will IRCC establish how long were you working? So you need to provide your pay stubs, because your pay stubs are an indication of how long did you work for that particular week. Any hours of work more than 30 hours are not considered for your application. So 30 hours is full-time. 30 hours is what you need to be doing for 1,560 hours over 12 months. That is what will constitute as your full-time work experience. So if you are applying under category A or B, if you want to call it Annex A or Annex B, if you want to call it under the health worker and the essential worker stream, then this particular document is something which you will need to pay the most attention on, because this is what will validate your choice of NOC code. This will validate your applying under that specific category. All right. So please pay more attention to this. As of right now, you have next 2.5 weeks in your hand. Get this document prepared, get this document sorted, because we do not know how it is going to be on the 6th of May. What kind of application process are we going to follow on 6th of May? So you don't want to get caught out at the last minute trying to figure out how you're going to prepare this document. Get it done now, get it done at the earliest, so that you can prepare for this. Second thing that you will need is your current employment status. So wherever you're working now, regardless of what your occupation is, you will need to provide your current. So if you're still working in the same company which is giving you the letter, which is also your eligible occupation, fine. That employment letter will simply say that you are working from this date and you are currently working with them. So that validates, and you will provide your recent pay stubs. Okay, so preceding 6th of May, whatever your recent pay stubs are, you will provide that. So that validates the fact that you are still working for this company. But if you have changed employment, you're working for a different employer, please provide a letter from that employer saying that you're working for them and your recent pay stub. So that will then validate your requirement of you being currently employed. All right. So this is the documents that you will need to prepare for your application if you are applying under the Canadian worker or work experience streams. Of course, if your family is included, you will need to provide your family's passport. If you're married, marriage certificate. If you're children, then their birth certificates as well. As I said, at this point of time, I do not expect them to be asking for medicals, because that is something which will need time, and there are a lot of places in the world, because of COVID, you will not be able to get a medical appointment at this point of time. So, you will be given time. I'm absolutely sure about that. I don't even have to assume or speculate on that. Same thing goes for police clearance. You will be given time. So those two aspects you don't need to worry about. Now, next we are coming to the international graduate stream. So people who have completed their education. Documents that you need to prepare are a copy of your degree or diploma, completion letter, okay, and your formal transcripts. These are the three important documents. If you do not have your degree or diploma awarded to you yet, that's fine, no problem. Get a letter from your college, get a letter from your institution saying that they will confer your degree or they will award the degree at a later date. Your completion letter, your education completion letter is the most important, which will say what degree did you complete, what diploma did you complete, when did you complete it, and a copy of your transcripts. These two will be more critical. A copy of your degree is desirable if you have completed it earlier, and if you have it. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Second more important document would be your postgraduate work permit copy and your study permit copy. And third important document would be your current employment. So wherever you're working right now, regardless of what job that you're doing, you will need your document, you will need your employment letter, and you will need the pay slips or pay stubs. Very, very important. If you can prepare all of these together, I mean, as I said, 2.5 weeks is what you have. If you get this, well, then, you don't really have to worry about anything else, because most of everything else will just be pure luck. Fastest finger first, good internet connection, VPN, if you can manage it. And that's basically going to be it, right? From our side, we have managed to arrange for a very, very large team. You will not believe we have managed to arrange a special leased internet line. Also, we have requested for that, so that we can have a fast connection, we can have a good access to a VPN, and so that we can submit applications for our clients on time. We will not be doing multiple applications. Each one of us will only be handling only one application, so that we can give our clients the best shot of submitting the application on that particular date and time. So if you're interested in having your application handled by a professional, obviously, ICCRC licensed immigration consultant, write to us on this email, and we will let you know what and how this can be done. Another thing that you need to know is that as much as a lot of you are expecting that the streams will get filled up and the intake will get closed like this, and of course, I also believe the intakes will get closed pretty quick, you also need to know that not everybody had their IELTS results at the time the policy was announced. Yes, as soon as the policy was announced, the slots for IELTS and CELPIP got filled up very quickly. But how many slots do you think were there out there? So majority of the occupations in the essential worker and the health related occupations, there are a few NOC Cs and Ds, but mainly the essential worker stream, which is largely NOC C and D, they, in most cases, they did not have an IELTS result handy. The reason for that is because they were not expecting something like this. This was just boom, it happened, right? So I don't expect that the stream will fill up so quickly for that particular category because they did not have IELTS results handy. It will take time for them to get the IELTS results. And if they try to submit the application without having the document, then not only would they have wasted a slot, but they would have not gotten anywhere, probably would have wasted their money in submitting the application as well. So be careful about that. If you are one of those applicants who was still expecting the IELTS results, first keep yourself aware of what's going to happen and how the application processing would be. So on the day, how will the process happen? If it is going to be something what Ontario does, and I keep repeating that you will be able to create a file and then submit your application, let's say 2 weeks later, or you will have 2 weeks time, then yes, you have a good chance. Considering you will be getting your IELTS results within the next 2 weeks after the 6th of May, well, then you have a chance. But if your IELTS are going to be much later, then give it a thought. Or if you are not eligible, then please, don't waste that slot, because somebody else could be really, really, more deserving of that slot and should basically go through. So apply only if you're eligible, apply only if you're going to have all your documents ready, apply only if you will have your IELTS scores ready in time for you to be submitting your application. Similarly, same is the case with international graduates. A lot of them do not have their IELTS handy. I mean, as much as we're all thinking it will get filled up like this, and I do believe the stream will get filled up very quickly, probably not immediately. And the reason for that is, again, though there are 40,000 slots and a lot of you may have an IELTS because you probably are looking for express entry in some way or the other, but a lot of you may not have, because you are not anticipating this. You may have just completed your graduation, you may have just completed your diploma, so you may not have IELTS handy. If such is the case, then apply only if you think you will get your IELTS results in time to submit your application. Otherwise, you will be wasting your money, and obviously you'll be wasting a slot. So be a bit thoughtful, mindful if you want to. I mean, I know it's very difficult because we're all selfish, right? And when we get an opportunity, we want to sort of think about ourselves. But yes, of course, think about yourselves, no doubt about it. But just be mindful that if you're not going to be able to submit the document, then may as well just hold back and wait till you are sure by when you will be able to get the document. What is the process going to look like? Because if it is going to be submitting your application on day one and you're not going to have your IELTS on day one, then why waste your money and the slot? All right. So therefore, again, if you are eligible under two streams, let's say you are an international student who also is eligible under the essential worker stream, which is quite a fair possibility with a lot of you, choose the stream in which you have a better chance of being able to submit an application, because all three streams are not going to be equal in terms of the chance that you have in submitting your application. Obviously, the international graduate stream is expected to be busier than the other two. So the chances, the amount of time that will take to get through the international graduate stream probably will be longer because of the systems getting jammed and the processes getting jammed. I mean, I expect that. I expect the system to crash, of course. So probably look at the other stream where you may also have a possibility or a chance. So choose the stream where you have a better chance to submit your application, because that only makes better sense. And if you miss it for whatever reason, because obviously not everybody is going to be able to submit their application, it's but natural, because this is one of the most difficult things to do, because when they have a process or a system like this, obviously a lot of people are going to miss out. We have seen it in the past. It used to happen with Nova Scotia Category B. It used to happen with parents, grandparents, lottery system. It has happened with Ontario all the time. So everybody is not going to be successful, and it's absolutely fine. If you are one of those who are not successful, please think about French. I mean, I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it. It is a very, very viable option. CLB4 or CLB5 is all that you need. You don't need a CLB7. Give it a thought, maybe. And if you're in Canada, there are already so many resources available. You have so many centers who will teach you French for free. But obviously the hard work has to be put in from your side. So give it a thought. And if you do not get cracking with this particular stream, then French probably is something which you should look at. That's all that I have to talk about in terms of what you can do to prepare for the application. Like the video, because there are 316 of you at this point of time who are watching this video. And if you're still watching, then basically I may have said something which is of some value to you. So give us a like, give us a thumbs up, so we know at least that you are here and you are enjoying this particular show. Subscribe to the channel. I need more subscribers, guys. I mean, it's a waste to see such a good channel not getting that many subscribers, right? I will take your questions in a bit, and yeah, that's about it. If you want us or my team to handle your PR application under the new public policy, we have a special offer going on right now only for this public policy. Write to this email address, okay? Send us an email and we will let you know more details on how we can proceed with that. We have limited number of slots because obviously we do not want to burden ourselves with too many applications that we can't handle. Thank you so much for joining in. You take care, be safe, and I shall see you next time whenever that happens, when there is new updates coming in, and take care.